And welcome back. We are here at the finals. Now, it's been a long day, Firebat, but we're at the finals now. Firebat Swiss Open between crimzig and leadpaint. crimzig coming in with, pretty standard lineup. I'm pretty excited about leadpaint's.
Yeah, leadpaint is definitely playing a different lineup. He's got the full smork, full aggro lineup, and crimzig playing the standard decks. So it's kind of like this is the true decider now. It's the finals. We've had some people playing odd decks. We've had some people playing standard decks, and one person playing odd decks makes it through one side, and one person playing standard decks makes it through the other side, and they clash in the finals to see what is better, the odd meta decks or just the standard decks.
Yeah, and speaking of odd, we didn't see some of the odd cards before, and I actually watched that semifinal while I was taking a break. We saw tracking in the Hunter deck, even though it looked pretty good in these games, and we had ancestral knowledge in the Shaman deck by leadpaint here. So we've seen some new interesting cards here in these decks and some new takes as well.
Yeah, definitely a bunch of little tweaks that we kind of missed out on earlier that started making an appearance in the semifinal games. Kind of interesting to see those come up. Maybe we'll see even more cards revealed that maybe we didn't really know about.
Yeah, I mean, their draws that we saw in the semifinals, I'm sorry, the quarterfinals, they were just like, pretty standard. And the same thing in some of the semifinals, we saw just like standard stuff until those games, it's so maybe we haven't seen the full effect of these decks, like everything that they have to offer. And that's just awesome. And, I love seeing a different lineup make it to the finals of a tournament this size, because this means that maybe it isn't solved. Maybe, the Warrior, Warlock, Druid isn't just the exact way to go.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, definitely there's no ever one perfect lineup because it's all just based on what other people bring, right? And maybe leadpaint's found the counter to the standard lineup of just Warrior, Warlock, Druid. We're going to have to see. As crimzig has demonstrated, he's exceptional at playing the standard decks, and he's made a lot of interesting lines. For example, the Druid game that you really loved, where he actually just didn't play minions against Control Warrior because they would have died to the weapon until he could play 2 minions in the same turn to avoid the weapon from getting value.
Yeah, we saw some interesting takes, different lines that we haven't normally seen, different ways to play matchups. You and I both said that we've been losing that matchup ourselves, Druid versus Control Warrior. And we're seeing a new take on it. Yeah, you have these extra cards that kind of give you diminishing returns on your value early. He just decided to hold on to them until he could get the full value from them later by just spamming the board of multiple things and not giving value to his opponent, like Fiery War Axe that he actually just never used for multiple turns.
Right, and we have leadpaint opening up with the Mech Shaman and Crim opening up with the Druid. This is the matchup leadpaint really wants with the Mech Shaman. We saw him kind of give a terrible draw against Druid in the last series, but we're going to see how well he can kind of turn it around this one. Typically speaking, Mech Shaman does very well against Druid.
Yeah, he's looking to get a couple early cheap minions, right? Just to get through a little bit of repeatable damage, and then he can finish off the game somewhere with like, lava bursts, crackles, and lightning bolts, stuff like that. It's seems like a pretty good strategy to be playing against with Druid. Yeah,
definitely. When the Druid's trying to wild growth, you're going to play Whirling Zap-O-Matic, which prevents them from wild growthing, because they really don't want that thing to live. That is a terrifying minion.
Yeah, they don't have a keeper. Like, if they just play, Piloted Shredder behind that, there's a chance they take, 6, 12 kind of damage from this Whirling Zap-O-Matic. And if you can get in 12 damage with a Whirling Zap-O-Matic, you're in a good position in that game to finish it off with all the burn spells that deck happens. And I think you were talking about earlier, and I wanted you to hit on a little bit more about why you like leadpaint's lineup so much. You think it's just a good counter to the lineups that are so popular here. I mean, we've seen these lineups of Warrior, Druid, X, and X being Warlock a lot here.
Also, another thing is, I really like aggro decks personally. I think it's a really solid playstyle because you can win by having your nut draw, so just like an unbeatable combination of damage cards that your opponent just can't keep up with. Or you can win by having a mediocre draw and your opponent just having a crap draw. So if they don't answer Whirling Zap-O-Matic, you just win on the spot on turn 2. And that's what I like about aggro decks.
And speaking of it, look at leadpaint's opening hand. There's a Whirling Zap-O-Matic and a Rock Biter.
And at the moment, crimzig does not have an answer. We're going to see how the mulligans pan out. But this could be a quick one.
Yeah, so what kind of opening hand is crimzig looking for here? Because he's got to know what he's up against. There's no way he doesn't have some kind of scouting going on. He knows that this is Mech Shaman. I mean, it's the most popular Shaman deck there is. So You know, he's looking for
The
something.
Rockbiter.
Yeah, he's looking for something that can interact quickly, right?
Not that. He's looking for Innervates, he's looking for Keeper of the Grove, he's looking for Wrath, and he doesn't have anything. This Coin Whirling Zap-O-Matic could get in a lot of damage.
Yeah, if Lead Paint decides to coin out this Whirling Zap-O-Matic, and you know, there's always the chance that well, maybe with drawing Spider Tank, it might be different, but there's always the chance that he just tries to turn 2 and then turn 3 Piloted Shredder, you know, just to make the most use of the coin. He's going to get in a ton of damage. He's going to be rewarded for taking this risk. And it looks like he's actually going to hold it back.
Yeah, he's afraid of the potential for the Druid not having Wild Growth and just playing Wrath. He saw the Druid mulligan all of his cards, which makes him less likely to have Wild Growth, so giving him something to interact with isn't the greatest.
When you see the Druid do this on turn 2, like just Hero Power Pass, like all bets are off, right? You just start spamming, right?
Yeah, definitely. You feel pretty good about it. So he's got a curve to follow this up to, so he feels pretty good about the Whirling Zap-O-Matic now. If he would have had a play turn 2, obviously, though, he would have just coined that out immediately and just went for it because he'd have follow-up. But without follow-up, it seemed a little too ambitious. Now, in crimzig's spot, do you Savage Roar this down out of respect?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
I mean...
Wow. He forgoes the development of a Shade.
Yeah, do you need to develop the Shade to win here, though? Isn't it better just to make sure you only take 3 and then play Shade later? Like, what's the difference between, you know, the Shade with 1 more power? I think I like that play a lot from crimzig here. It's defensive when his hand is not very good, but very powerful late in the game, so he just wants to get to that point.
Yeah, this curve from Lead Paint is incredible, too. He's got the 3, are you at 2, 3, 4, and now he's even pulled the 5 drop, so he can just follow his curve steady all the way through, and he has Power Mace plus Rockbiter, which is a pretty terrifying amount of damage. It lines up perfectly with Druid of the Claw, which is the only minion you really got to kill.
Yeah, it's a perfect 6 power to get right through that taunt, yeah. So crimzig's going to have to lean on the power of these 2 Druid of the Claws, just getting him to 7 mana and then maybe gaining 5 life of Ancient of Lore, or just getting a Dr. Boom in to start contesting. But crimzig just picked up a Mech Warper here too.
It looks like Mech Shaman is not going to be what holds Lead Paint back in this finals, like it was in the last series. He's looking like he's in a pretty good spot to get this Mech Shaman out of the way very early in the series.
Yeah, I mean, did he, was it, he had to win one of the last 3 games with it and he almost got reverse swept? Is that, I mean, I missed a game in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you almost got reverse swept on it last time, and this time, out of the gate, it is doing powerful work against the Druid, because the Druid just didn't draw Innervate, didn't draw Wild Growth, and you just can't beat Mech Shaman if you don't draw Innervate or don't draw Wild Growth. Your cards don't line up good enough against their cards to stall quick enough.
Now, if we have to assume that he's going to taunt this Druid of Claw here, do you just eat the Mech Warper with the Shade of Nexramas here? I feel like you just have to do this.
Oh, he's playing around the Power Mace Rockbiter play. This is really smart.
Yeah, I like this as well. It's probably actually just better just to charge it here, honestly.
If he taunted it, the game was over. The Power Mace Rockbiter comes down, he clears it without taking any losses on the minion front. But now, maybe he could squeak his way back into this game with this play.
Yeah, just another smart play from crimzig here, just continuing his string of very good plays here in the top 8.
Yeah, I was pretty much just counting him out of this game, but there is a lot of potential here now for him to claw his way back into it. Lead Paint should probably kill the Shade. That turns into a 4-2. Yeah, he's just thinking about that now. I think he's going to kill the Shade and then go face with the Piloted Shredder and develop more threats. You don't want to be trading with a Piloted Shredder. Yeah,
you just want to get in as much damage as you can with this deck. He's going to have to finish off crimzig at some point in time, and he knows that the late game is where crimzig's really going to shine, especially with the kind of hand that he had. Picking up Keeper of the Grove here, not bad either. He wants to kind of just try to take care of most of this board, but can you forego playing another Druid of the Claw here?
Well, you see the Power Mace up, so like how strong is a Druid of the Claw really? He played around the eventuality of removal spells coming down on it last turn, and now that you see that the Power Mace is already up, all it takes is a Rockbiter to get through that. So it's pretty terrifying to leave any of the mechs up, especially with the death rattle of the weapon as well.
Yeah, so that's what I was trying to get at. Do you have to trade in Druid of the Claw and use Keeper of the Grove to kill the Whirling Zap-O-Matic here, just to kind of mitigate the damage that Power Mace is going to do for you?
I think you might have to, and then you come out with the big taunts next turn. Yeah. He's definitely like up in the air though. Either line could definitely work, and crimzig's sort of just thinking through it, and he's opting to go with Druid of the Claw, it looks like.
Time waits for no one.
Ooh, maybe he's thinking, oh, he keeps teasing us with it.
Yeah, he's definitely does not know for sure what he wants to play. He can silence the buff off next turn. Oh, he's gonna double charge. Being very aggressive, killing his opponent's minions instead of just waiting and taunting. So the buff can't land here. The lead paint has now accumulated a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, this deck looks awesome. I might have to try this deck out on ladder later. I might have to get the list from here. As I said, I haven't played Shaman in a very long time, but it might be time to break that streak.
Mm-hmm. Is he going to opt to use the Power Mace to clear the 4-1 to try and protect his board a little bit here?
So if you do that, what are you playing around? You've seen both the Druid of the Claw, so you know you can't really taunt up well here without having something like Ancient of War, which, I mean, we see that it's in hand, but you can't always... Yeah. Of course, lead paint doesn't know that. So what are the advantages of him for taking care of this Druid of the Claw here and not pushing another 3 damage?
It like denies the onboard trade with the 3/2, and then denies Keeper possibly helping trade up with the Lotheb.
Right,
But,
so...
under the Lotheb effect, it's not too high risk, but I still think it's good just to protect the 3/2.
Yeah, I agree with that here, and good chance he's going to have to try to get through a 5/10 here this turn. You know, Earthshock could spin this game wildly out of control if it's top decked here by lead, though.
Yeah, if Earthshock's top deck, that could be it. That's just lethal, right? So if this Ancient of War sticks, then crimzig could be back in this game, but he's leaning towards the Doctor Boom. We see him mousing over it. He's deciding on the 2. He might feel like even if he gets the Ancient of War down, that his opponent can remove it too efficiently and push too much damage, that he's not setting up a winning position.
Crimzig doesn't affect the board in some way here, taunt up or heal. Yeah, it is actually lethal from lead paint here.
So he is going to feel too much pressure and decide to go with the taunt. And lead paint with no answer.
Yeah, he's going to go up a lot of resources here. Like, he could trade Lava Burst plus Lotheb in here and take care of Ancient of War. Yeah, I mean, you could Rock Biter on Bone Guard Lieutenant and then, you know, do maybe Crackle or Lava Burst there. I mean, he's going to have to give a ton of cards in here to take care of this Ancient of War. This is a
Whatever
really
he does this turn, he's got to weave in the Spider Tank being played.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And I think I'd like to hold on to the Rockbiter if possible, because his list is probably running 2 Doomhammers. And you want to be able to combo the Rockbiter plus the Doomhammer for just massive burst damage. So I'd like to see him save the Rockbiter. Oh no, he's going to use the Rockbiter. Probably going to just use the Rockbiter plus the Lava Burst to keep the Lotheb in play.
Yeah,
that's
it's
the only way to maintain it at 5/5.
Bigger minion, it doesn't die to swipe. You know, it's a little less. It's a little more resilient to some of the removal spells that crimzig's going to have coming out. Plus, I mean, it's just a bigger body too to keep it in play. So, and oh, there's the second swipe. If he wants to clear this board, he's able to. But, you know, looking at this board, if just clearing it to 1 card left in lead paint's hand, which I guess you just have to assume it's a burn spell. Like, you should probably just be playing that way. Is just clearing this board the way to go?
Yeah, definitely. I like clearing the board. Clearing the board is really, really solid. That swipe top deck was pretty huge here. He could actually stabilize if he clears this board here.
Yeah, it was very big for him. You know, the Lotheb maybe 1 turn too soon. If Lotheb came down that turn, he wouldn't be able to make this play, but he also wouldn't have gotten a lot of damage in, so... Oh boy. Yeah. Here's where it starts. Sorry.
crimzig's in a solid position to take this game. He can even heal next turn, which I would suggest for him to do.
Yeah. As a professional world champion of Hearthstone, I recommend that you heal up this turn. You probably need to get the deck that's trying to burn you out.
Oh yeah, he knows it for sure. But Dr. Boom, you know, it's so tempting.
Dr. Boom's green. You should play it.
No, heal. Got it. He knows his opponent has 2 burn spells because he didn't play them as minions. Yeah, he's gonna heal. He's gonna make that read. Very good. And the highlight of this matchup has been crimzig charging Druid of the Claws. That's what won him the game, basically. Because if those Druid of the... Oh, wait. Ancestral Knowledge could find a lot of extra damage here. It's such a solid late-game card. Right, you have a potential 12.
Does find a Piloted Shredder as well, so... Getting a threat in play, as we saw in his game-deciding match against Patron Warrior, that Piloted Shredder served him really well there at the end. You know, the succubus coming out of the Pilot Shredder was enough to do lethal for him.
Yeah, crimzig has the ability to silence it with the Keeper of the Grove to be able to deal with it if he wants. Oh, but he's going to deny the Esprit to protect it against the the Ancient Allure.
Yeah, it protects it on board, but
I mean, now he can't silence it with the Keeper and then kill it with the Ancient Allure because the Taunt Totem's in the way. So crimzig got to be a little nervous about a potential another burn spell, especially with that spell power totem up.
Yeah, I feel like in this matchup, you're always just like walking on eggshells. You're always just expecting to die, you know, from a ton of damage out of your opponent. And, you know, having a spell power totem in play is, as you said, just super scary because it's so much extra damage on every spell.
Mm-hmm. Looks like he's going to play the Azure Drake and try and look for an answer. Or not.
Yeah, I mean, like,
everybody's thinking about it.
What's, you know, your Azure Drake digging for what? Maybe like the fact that you can hit Wrath, I guess. But then what does that do for you for the rest of your turn? Yeah, I mean, you could cycle this Wrath on
your Taunt Totem.
Yeah, I mean, do you feel it's better to take care of the Taunt Totem here or to try to take care of the Spell Power Totem?
Yeah, I think actually the Spell Power Totem might be more dangerous than popping the Shredder, because like 2 power comes out of the Shredder anyway. The Spell Power Totem is giving 2 power, but it works out for him. There's no 3rd burn spell top decked.
So if he rolls as high as possible, he's got 11 right now.
He needed like another Crackle for 7.
Yeah.
But it's very unlikely for lead paint to be able to find lethal from this situation.
Whoa, he gets the full 7 there. The Lightning Bolt's gonna get another 3, and he's gonna push 2 more here, making a lot of top decks lethal from the spot. He even gets the 1 powered Searing Totem. This helps out with some of the weapons being lethal.
Mm-hmm. Well, we also have crimzig's Hero Power, bringing him up to 6 health.
Mm-hmm.
If we see like 2nd Ancestral Knowledge into 2 burn spells, that would be crazy.
Yeah. Do you think he's running 2 Ancestral Knowledge?
I have no idea if he's running. What have we seen missing from the deck compared to like normal Mech Shaman?
Maybe he has like 1 less Doomhammer, but I don't know. He's drawing Doomhammer a lot, so
yeah, I don't think you can cut Doomhammer. I think that's pretty core.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming.
I mean, I like Ancestral Knowledge in this deck a lot.
Yeah, it makes sense as a late game finisher.
I mean, it's so cheap. It gives you 2 cards for 2 mana. I mean, the drawback on it of Overload almost doesn't matter.
Yeah, because your opponent's dead.
Yeah. Yeah. All your spells are so cheap. Yeah.
Well, he's going to be at 5. Do we see the Lava Burst off the top? Is he gonna kill the 1/1? He doesn't kill the 1/1. Doomhammer is also lethal. Doomhammer, we have 2 Doomhammers, 2 Lava Bursts. Fireguard Destroyer is not going to do it.
Now,
And crimzig set up lethal for next turn, so he needs a Taunt Totem to stay alive.
yeah, he has to roll a Taunt Totem here because even taking down Ancient of Lore isn't going to do enough to keep him alive. So
There's Taunt Totem.
Yeah, there's 10 power in play, plus the hero power is going to be enough to finish off lead paint here. What
so close.
Yeah, what a close game here. Game 1 between these two. Man, this Mech Shaman deck, it's always so close when it loses too. You know, it's always like, I was 1 card off or whatever. And sometimes it looks like it's not, but it's actually way closer than you know. And if you would have taken that risk, if you would have just turned that Whirling Zap-O-Matic off of a coin, I think he wins this game pretty easily. But it's such a big risk to take there when you have no information on your opponent's hand.
Yeah, and no follow-up to the play either. You would have been forced to just totem on the next turn. But if he would have done that, he would have had actually 6 extra damage, and that would have been enough to actually end the game. That was the exact amount of health. It was the difference maker in the previous turns, was just 6 health.
Yep. So crimzig's up 1-0 here in the finals, winning with his Druid deck over Mech Shaman. Now, with Warrior and Warlock left for crimzig, where do you think lead paint goes with this? Did he just queue up, Mech Shaman again?
I think he's gonna stay consistent and queue up the Mech Shaman again. But crimzig showing like really good mastery over that matchup that game too. By the way, he charged both Druid of the Claws. If he had taunted Druid of the Claw in either of those situations, it would have been punished by the 6 damage combo of Power Mace plus Rockbiter, cleanly killing it without the Druid of the Claw getting any value. So yeah. I was really impressed by those value trades into 3/2s to leave the 4/1s alive, because Mech Shaman doesn't have easy way to deal with 1 health minions, and that was just stronger than taunting. Yeah,
it definitely makes more sense the more I think about trading in there and leaving a body on board. I mean, lead paint, he's not in the business of trading with his minions, and he doesn't want to use his burn spells, his removal spells. I mean, that's a losing proposition for his deck. You know, his minions are there only to get in maybe 1 to 2 attacks, and the burn spells are there to finish you off. He has a finite amount of damage that he can deal out. So anytime that they trade with you or use a burn spell to kill one of your minions, you got to feel like, you know, it's a huge win for you.
Yeah, especially when they're overkilling it, because all the burn spells do like 3 damage pretty much. So 1 health is enough to draw 3 damage worth of firepower. But anyway, for the next matchup, we have Crim going with the Warrior, Patron Warrior, and leadpaint sticking with the Shaman.
Yeah, and this is a matchup that he just won to get himself into the finals, so maybe he's feeling all right about this match. And this is the kind of deck that can give Grim Patron fits, right?
Yeah, definitely. The early pressure Grim Patron sometimes can struggle with, and we're going to have to see if leadpaint's able to find his early pressure, though, because sometimes you get those Mech Shaman draws that don't even have the early pressure, and then this matchup can be really hard for Mech Shaman to win. But we see a lot of early pressure.
Yeah, these are the kind of cards you want to be finding. You want to find the minions early, besides the burn spells, right?
Yeah, for sure. You get the minions down and start getting a bunch of chip damage, and then damage doesn't really, like, direct damage is not really that great until you have enough that you can kill your opponent. Then it's really good.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what kind of hand is Crimzig looking for? Like, what are the cards that he really wants in this matchup?
Fiery War X, Fiery War X, and Fiery War X, man. That's the name of the game. Oh yeah, you just need Fiery War X so badly. If you get Fiery War X, that's done. The Mech Shaman doesn't have too many early game minions, and you can just kill all of them, say minus Annoyatron.
Yeah, exactly. So if you can get an early start with like an Annoyatron behind it, that could be a problem. But yeah, Fiery War X seems just so OP in this matchup. It seems like exactly what you want. Other than that, I think you just want to try to make as many patrons as you can early, right? And just try to kill them as quickly as possible.
Yeah, definitely getting patrons out early can help race and such. Wow. When you see your Mech Shaman opponent keep all 3 cards off the mulligan, you gotta be kind of scared.
Yeah. How do you like Unstable Ghoul and Cruel Taskmaster in this matchup? You know, paired together with Slam, they can get some work done.
Yeah, definitely. That's the defensive 2-drops you want to be finding, for sure, from the Patron Warrior side. They have War Axe, they have like usually 1 Cruel Taskmaster and 1 to 2 Armor Smiths and 1 to 2 Ghouls, and those are all their early game defensive cards, and having 2 of those options present in your hand early feels good, man.
Yeah, this is exactly like this is a good hand for Crimzig in this matchup, right? This is kind of a hand you'd like to see. And do you get aggressive and coin out the Unstable Ghoul here?
I would see, if you're seeing my Mech Shaman opponent keep 3 cards, I'm assuming they're all 3 minions. So I'm assuming if I can coin out an Unstable Ghoul, then next turn maybe Cruel Task it to deal with like a Mech Warper if he tries to YOLO out a Mech Warper, or it also trades favorably with Whirling Zap-O-Matic, and just preemptively dealing with that card is really good.
Yeah, I mean, because like that's the scariest card in the Mech Shaman deck, right? Whirling Zap-O-Matic leads to some unbelievable wins. I mean, you of all people should know that from your win in the PLG Spring Finals, I think is what it was, against Sivka.
Yeah, and DreamHack. The turn 4 lethal.
Yeah, just turn 4 lethal from damage. Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, we're gonna see Slam able to be used to trade up with the Mech Warper. So just getting out that early Unstable Ghoul, answering the minions that you know are there based on how the mulligans went. Really solid play from Crimzig.
And this is just a scary board to deal with if you're a Shaman player, right? I mean, this Unstable Ghoul has already gotten so much value against you, and you're not making any headway against the Patron player, and you know they're getting into turn 3. I mean, this is kind of how it drew up on Crimzig's side, right? This is the way he wants this game to go out.
Yeah, but the Earthshock's gonna switch it back into leadpaint's favor. So now Crimzig needs a way to deal with this. And he pulls the Unstable Ghoul, so he may feel safe, but the Power Mace in leadpaint's hand can answer that Unstable Ghoul quite handily.
Yeah, it's very true. It is going to be able to break through this Unstable Ghoul, but that was a good top deck from Crimzig's point of view. You know, he believes that he may have just answered other Whirling Zap-O-Matic, but this Whirling Zap-O-Matic is going to get in some damage. Let's say a Rock Biter top deck would have been pretty good for leadpaint here.
That's for sure. But Doomhammer's not bad either. Getting that down on 5, super key. Just basically removes the warrior's ability to gain health, and then your burn damage can do a lot more work. The earlier you draw Doomhammer against warrior, the better, because it removes their ability to race you kind of, just because you always have consistent damage coming in, even if they kill all of your minions. So you can usually get them down to the range where your lava bursts and crackles can finish it.
Now, is there any, he started to play around this Frothing Berserker there. Is there any Frothing Berserker Whirlwind turn that he wants here, or is it just too good to pass up Cruel Taskmaster armor up this turn?
I don't know. armoring is really important, but at the same time, like that's a pretty big threat that your opponent has to deal with if you whirlwind first, and then
Yeah, you make a 2/4 Frothing Berserker. Yeah.
yeah, so that your opponent can't really directly deal with it on board because
Well,
you never feel good about leaving a Frothing Berserker up.
yeah, I mean, I think he just needs to stabilize and stay alive as long as possible for the next 2 turns, right? Because I mean, turn 4 and turn 5 are set up so nice. I mean, he's got a Death Spite into Dread Corsair on 4, and then just making 2 Grim Patrons on 5 is fine, right?
Yeah, definitely. Making 2 Grim Patrons is really hard for the Mech Shaman to deal with. So yeah, it looks like that's the line he's gonna take. He's gonna try and set up Deathbite with Dread Corsair next turn, and just this turn present the biggest board he possibly can, which is the 2/4.
Yeah, and it's a little unfortunate for lead paint this turn. What are you doing if you're lead paint? Do you just have to spider tank and roll a totem here, and then maybe make your tank big?
Yeah, I think you spider tank and then hope you roll the taunt totem and just bash face.
Yeah. I mean, this is what you signed up for with this deck, but Fireguard Destroyer is going to look like it's going to be his choice.
Yeah, I mean it's similar size. It's the exact same size as the spider tank with the buff, so
Yeah.
makes sense to play that as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder to it's a hard minion to deal with by Death Spite, and that's what you assume is going to be this turn from them, and it's still going to be hard for crimzig to pass up Death Spite and Dread Corsair this turn, I gotta believe.
Yeah, I think the motivation behind this play is just he doesn't want to just waste the power mace on just going face. He can still use it for clearing things, for controlling the board a little bit. He has 2 minions, so he still has some board control elements. So he doesn't want to quite go face yet.
Yeah, showing a lot of patience here. His deck in these games, just trying to get as much value as he can out of his cards.
What now?
The Dread Corsair come down.
And this Dread Corsair has been putting in work here in this top 8, by the way.
Oh yeah, the Dread Corsair tech has been doing very, very well. It makes sense that it's been doing so good for a lot of players at #1 Legend on ladder.
Yeah, and you gotta love the fact that it's in your deck here, and you get the aggro matchup here in the finals. You know, against like the aggro lineup, the Mage and Shaman deck out of lead paint here are just like some of the most aggressive decks we've seen in the entire top 8, if not the most aggressive decks.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
just having Dread Corsair, I mean, you gotta be patting yourself on the back for that one.
Yeah, definitely a good tech choice here. So now the Power Mace, since he held on to it and made the Fireguard Destroyer play last turn, it can actually deal with the Dread Corsair so that he can push 5 to the face and buff up the Spider Tank to be similar to the Fireguard Destroyer. But he's going to draw first.
Yeah, just, if you're going to draw cards this turn, you might as well draw first anyway. And what happens sometimes... Yeah, this is what happens sometimes with this deck. If you draw multiple of your weapons, you can find yourself short of damage, and you just draw all 4 of them.
Yeah, at this point, yeah, he's going to opt to control the board. Like, he has not enough burn in his hand to really, not enough immediate burn to really justify going face and trying to race that Frothing Berserker. So he's just going to set up a really big board state, take the game slow, and actually play the board control game and try and extend the game as long as possible so he can get the maximum value out of these weapons.
Yeah, I mean, I like that play from him, because if crimzig doesn't have some form of removal spell that doesn't involve using his face, he's going to get the damage in anyway this turn.
One of the interesting mechanics here that we may see come into play is if you have a Power Mace up, and then you swing with it, then equip Doomhammer. The Doomhammer has Wind Fury, so then it allows you to swing again.
Oh, I've actually never seen that before. That's actually kind of cool. So you get to swing with it just once?
Yeah, so you get to swing with the Doomhammer once. The other way around, it doesn't work because the Power Mace doesn't have Wind Fury. So if you swing with the Doomhammer, then equip Power Mace, doesn't work. But if you do it the other way around, it actually works.
Yeah, and this feels like a play that crimzig just has to make here. It gets 2 patrons into play. He takes a lot of damage to the face there off of destroying that Fireguard Destroyer, but he's going to take damage from it anyway.
Yeah, you got to slow your opponent down. And this is turning into a grindy matchup. We're going to see these weapons coming in being extremely handy for this specific circumstance of being able to clear patrons off and develop your board a little bit.
Yeah, with him playing Mech Warper, you got to believe he's going to pick off this. He's going to pick off this 3/3 Grim Patrons. He's actually going to take care of both of them. Playing around stuff like Cruel Taskmaster and Whirlwind, both of which are in crimzig's hand now. Great play here from lead paint.
Yeah, of course. You just got to clear all the patrons now. It's turned into a grindy game. You got to slow it down as much as possible, and you're trying to get. At this point, you gotta believe he's trying to get all 16 damage out of one of these Doomhammers. Like, that's how much he's slowing down the game. He's trying to get all the damage he can out of the Doomhammers. And honestly, he's starting to accumulate a lot of damage if this board is able to stick for even a turn.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 12 in play right now, with 5 behind that in Lava Burst and another 2.
He's got 19. If crimzig doesn't armor, he can lethal by swinging with his weapon, getting the buff, equipping Doomhammer, swinging again, lava bursting, and hitting with the minions.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to lead into. We have a lethal on board right now, so I mean, from in hand as well. So crimzig's gonna have to do something here.
It looks like he's going to Whirlwind without the Acolyte in place so that he's able to play the Deathbite, get the full clear on the board. He's going to try to run Lead Paint completely out of minions. But
yeah. I like this play from him. I like this play from him too. You know, he kind of takes some value away from Power Mace here, unless he top decks another mech.
It's actually not that likely that Lead Paint's going to be finding too many more minions in his deck. He's really running thin on him.
Yeah, there's like a Noyatrons left, maybe one Whirling Zap-O-Matic. You know, the rest of his deck is a lot of burn spells.
You're going to see the Doomhammer come down. And the second swing to clear off the 2/2.
Oh yeah, he's made that play before. He knew right away that he could do that.
Yep. He's definitely an experienced Cancer Shaman player. We're going to see crimzig most likely the Warsong out, I think. I think tempoing out the minions is pretty important, just denying your opponent to play, but at the same time you're pretty close to just Patron off the top being lethal.
What now?
Yeah,
So
I mean, you know, yeah, he can get an extra card in with his Death Spite, but then he doesn't have any way to start spawning extra patrons though.
Yeah,
I think you just have to get an extra card right now. Crimzig, does he have shield blocks in his deck? Is he one of the ones with the shield block build?
I think there's one shield block. I don't know if there's 2 or not. 2 is pretty standard now with Patron, but a lot of people have been cutting it as of late, so it may only be 1.
Yeah, well, he's got Dread Corsair too, so like, you know, he has to make room for that card somehow.
So is there a possible lethal here? We got 4, 6, 15 potentially, so there's no way he can do 16 even with max roll on Crackle unless rolling Spell Power Totem. So we can roll a Totem first and see how it goes.
And it does bypass the... I mean, if he rolls a Totem, is he just going to Pilot Shredder if he doesn't get, you know, the exact Totem he wants this turn?
Yeah, I'd assume so. Gonna opt to Piloted Shredder first. Even if you do get Spell Power Totem, would you really try and go for lethal here, though? Like,
yeah, just YOLO it, yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about not putting minions on board and letting, you know, if you let Warsong... I mean, he's going to play an actual control route here.
Yeah. He's just trying to maximize the amount of damage you can do with Doomhammer. Just slow down your warrior opponent so much that you can use Doomhammer as a card, deal 16 damage. It's one of the win conditions in Mech Shaman that you don't see too often, but it's definitely there. Doomhammer is such a powerful carry card, and it can just deal so much damage if the game's going slow enough.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a couple top decks actually lethal from this spot as well. I mean, love the way that Lead Paint's played this game. It's interesting to see the roles get reversed in the situation. Like the aggro deck all of a sudden starting to control the Patron deck.
Yeah, definitely strange. But Patron relies so heavily on combos, and if they're forced to use all of their cards for board control, the roles do happen to get reversed.
So is Crimzig just taking his time here, thinking, is there any way that he needs to draw an extra card here by playing, you know, Warsong Commander and Acolyte of Pain? Now, this is actually a pretty good top deck. He's going to get to draw 2 cards off this Acolyte of Pain and trade into Pilot Shredder.
Yeah, for sure. So Battle Raging first ended up working out for him because he was able to get that inner rage that made this play possible.
There comes out here. 2 power minion that can draw an extra card for him here. Not terrible.
Yeah, definitely good. And this is the second Warsong Commander. So after killing this, he knows there's no charge damage in the Warrior's arsenal.
Yeah, so you got to believe he's going to make sure to take care of that right away. Picks up one of the last mechs left in his deck there with the Noyatron.
Yeah, Noyatron's a pretty sweet top deck to be able to lock out weapons from helping crimzig control the board. So it's looking like Lead Paint's going to be able to close out this one. But I was saying that in the last game, and crimzig was able to snatch the win away from him.
And he is going to be able to draw an extra card this turn of Gnomish Inventor. If he picks up something like Whirlwind, he can use Execute to take down this Fire Guard Destroyer, but his life total is getting low.
Yeah.
Armorsmith picked up.
That could change things.
You know, it would have been nice a little earlier in the turns where he's getting these Whirlwinds and Battle Rages off and stuff. Maybe getting a couple extra life points would help, you know, secure this matchup for him. But
yeah,
a little late this game, maybe.
Yeah, it seems a little late. I think he's got lethal burst. He's showing 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 damage between just onboard damage and the lava burst. So crimzig has no way to stop it, and that's going to be GG. Score now evened up 1-1. Mech Shaman out of the way. Leadpaint now has to win with Mage and Druid. crimzig still has left his Warrior and his Warlock decks.
Yep, and so I think the onus for making the right deck choice might be on Leadpaint here, because, you know, he's got Druid and Mage here, and there's Warrior and Warlock left on the other side. So which one would you play with if you were Leadpaint here? Like, which one would you go with that you think gives you the best chance to lead into your best matchup after that?
I think I would go with the Mage. I think the Mage has like 50-50 chance in both the matchups, so I tend to favor that. I feel like the Mage has a better shot against the Warrior than the Druid does, and the Mage is pretty good against the Warlock. Probably not as good as the Druid is, but still favored.
Yeah, and if crimzig you know, keeps to form like almost everyone in the top 8 has, you kind of believe he's queuing up Warrior again. Yeah, we've seen
to do that.
Yeah,
we see the lineups are submitted now. We have Crim going in with the Warrior. So, as everyone pretty much has been doing, once they lose with the deck, they stick with it. And then Leadpaint going with the Druid.
It's interesting. He's going to actually go with the Druid here and get the matchup that, you know, a lot of people are saying it's a pretty decent matchup for Druid here, that they actually are somewhat favored over Patron. But I mean, to me, it still feels pretty 50-50. I mean, Patron still does like really dumb stuff all the time, and I think crimzig has been playing exceptionally well as well in this top 8. So I gotta say, this feels a little more like a 50-50 to me.
Yeah, the matchup is definitely pretty coin flippy. It can go either way. It just really depends on how the Druid puts on pressure, and if they're able to have combo on exactly turn 9 before the Patron can start doing their Patron combos. Because once the Patron gets high enough mana, they can generally make Patron at like any point in the game. So if they get towards those mana totals, they can get those Patrons down on you, and then you're screwed as the Druid. So you got to kill them before that happens, or you have to make them do it so fast out of the fear that you're going to kill them.
And do you remember if crimzig had Harrison Jones or not in his deck?
In the Patron deck? I have not seen...
I'm sorry, Leadpaint. I'm sorry. I think Leadpaint did not. I think he was just like severely aggressive with this Druid deck and had like Savage Combatants and not Harrison Jones.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a Harrison Jones, but there could still be one lurking in there somewhere. We haven't seen all the cards of the deck, but he definitely has a pretty low curve Druid deck from what we've seen. We didn't see any Ancient of Wars, and we saw Savage Combatants. We saw the play style, very aggressive, constantly going face and being super aggressive with it. So I'm imagining it's a low curve Druid deck.
Yeah, Leadpaint has really been putting the onus on his opponents to, you know, have the correct answers at the right time. And so far, they haven't had it all the time against him. He's been putting so much pressure on his opponents and just getting there on the back of just aggressive play with all of his decks. I love seeing this from him. And, you know, we're seeing some very calculated and good play on the other side from Crim as well. So this is a really good finals. I love the way this top 8 is shaped out.
Pretty good hand for the Druid here. He's gonna go with the Coin Darnassus with the Wild Girth to follow it up. So it's not too high risk.
Yeah, love this play. More than I talked to people about this. Again, it's a high risk, high reward play for Leadpaint here, and it's not the end of the world if they have an Axe here because you have a Wild Growth behind it. But if they don't have Fiery War Axe, if they don't have something to answer it right away, then you just get to start chipping away for 2 every turn.
Which is important in this matchup because you have to be killing them pretty quickly. Because in the end game, Patron Warrior's got the superior end game. That's for sure.
I mean, you're worried. It's kind of like the same thing with a Druid player when your life's always low. You're worried about dying every turn, you know, from some huge burst damage out of their hand. But while, you know, Druid can maybe do 14 to 20, Warrior's very capable of doing 40 out of its hand.
Yeah, that's for sure. And crimzig has no place here. He's just kind of sitting here looking at this aspirant, being sad. The fact that he has no War Axe to punish it. Roping out. Maybe he's bluffing something. Maybe he's AFK.
I was gonna say, hopefully this isn't a disconnect.
Yeah, hopefully
that's
not.
That's what it looks like it is. It looks like we might have our disconnect, our first disconnect here of the top 8. And this is something that unfortunately happens when you are shackled by technology. We're playing these, you know, through online. And or maybe it's like an elaborate bluff, you know, that he's not here and he's just trying to take 2 damage for this battle rage. Yeah, did Crim make any mulligans of his opening hand? Did we see him make a mulligan at all?
Yeah, we saw the mulligan.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so he was here at the beginning of the game. It's gonna be interesting to see how this unfolds. Yeah, I was gonna say, crimzig just went offline on my spectator mode, spectator client, so he is not actually playing in this game right now.
Disconnect in the finals. Oh man.
No.
Hopefully he can come back.
Yeah.
He's been playing so well throughout this tournament.
You know what? I got to give some respect to leadpaint because I'm pretty sure leadpaint is roping on purpose during his turns, and yeah, his opponent's actually just been disconnected and lost. I like seeing that from leadpaint. He actually roped, I feel like, on purpose to give him the most amount of time to come back into this match. So we're gonna have to see what's the ruling here for a disconnect. Is there any way to re-game this, or is it just an automatic game loss?
Well, I mean, it was turn 0 of the top 8 finals. We're gonna have to wait and see if he can come back and see if we can get a re-game on that, because this is the finals. This is the big leagues.
Yeah, I think both.
Yeah,
I think both players will be okay with re-gaming.
They want to see the game happen. This is the finals.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't practice anymore. This is the game. And we want to see what happens here. So hopefully he's able to come back.
Was that an Allen Iverson reference in there? Did I hear a practice reference?
It might have been.
One of my favorite sports memes of all time.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go to a quick little music break. Stay tuned. We're gonna see if he comes back. If he's unable to come back, we're gonna have to probably see if we can't either regame the game and get pre-recorded or something, and brought back at another time. But hopefully he's able to come back. Really looking forward to see how the finals end up. Stay tuned, guys.
Yeah, and welcome back. We had a small technical difficulty there. It looks like crimzig's laptop crashed in the beginning of this game there, so we're going to re-game. this game here in the spirit of sport. It is the finals. It was, you know, turn 0. Both hands were very playable. Definitely a good reason to just restart this entire game.
Yeah, for sure. It would be super terrible to have the only disconnect in the top 8 loss be in the finals. And being turn 0, I don't think any player gets a real advantage. So we're just running back the same exact matchup. See how it goes.
Yeah, and in a tie ball game too. I mean, it's, you know, tied at 1. It's pretty deciding. You know, it's a pretty damning loss.
Mm-hmm. So the hands here, crimzig. He's got the War Axe this time. So not too bad to deal with the Aspirant. But we're going to see if leadpaint even gets the Aspirant this time. If he doesn't get the Aspirant, the War Axe can generally be a dead card against Druid.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it doesn't kill really many other minions deck without attacking multiple times. And you're going to see leadpaint take the full time on his mulligan here, as he usually does. Not a bad idea here in, you know, the top 8 of what might be one of the biggest tournaments of his career. You know, you definitely don't want to give away any extra information here.
Yeah, definitely the biggest in terms of size and amount of players.
Oh, for sure. This was a gigantic event. Let's talk about that for a second while we're waiting on this. How many do we have again, Firebat? 1,024?
Yeah, 1,024 starting players to go through 10 rounds of Swiss and then a top 16 single elimination bracket afterwards.
Unbelievable long amount of Hearthstone, and these two guys representing the finals, the first Firebat Open, really good play from these two.
Yeah, I've been impressed with both of these players, not only in their plays, but also in lineups. Like crimzig, we see all the tech cards that help out in what the current meta is, with the Dread Corsair and things like this. And then we see leadpaint teching to the meta in a totally different way by bringing completely different decks like Mech Shaman instead of just tech cards.
Now, what would you do on turn 2 here if you were the Druid player, if you were leadpaint? And if it stays consistent with the way leadpaint's been playing, what do you think is going to happen?
I think he might be innovating out the Savage Combatant, personally.
Yeah,
no, he's going with the Wild Growth. I was like, yeah, I know what you're getting at there because of how aggressive he's been playing. Like, maybe he just goes for it. But I definitely like the Wild Growth better.
Yeah,
but
I like the Wild Growth a lot better, too.
It would have been hilarious if he just innovated out the Savage Combatant and it was just like, deal with it.
Yeah, 5-4, beat it. Yeah.
Yeah, the Mech Shaman mentality and just stay true to it. That would have been amazing.
Yeah, he just wins the match and then, you know, unveils that on his arm he has a tattoo of the Smork face. It says Smork for life.
Oh my god. Well, he has the ability to play Savage Combatant here and then maybe innovate out the hero power to deal with the unstable ghoul. The only problem with that is it still leaves him open to the War Axe to clear his minion.
Yeah, and execute as well. And then you don't get to Ancient of Lore next turn. Yeah, it's a little awkward.
Yeah, that's for sure. Maybe he'll be just developing the Savage Combatant and just playing it down for the body so that he can then next turn innovate Ancient Allure.
Yeah, that seems like one of the better plays to me, I think.
Yeah, or he also has the option to take it really slow, which he has not been doing very often, the slow lines. But the slow line exists here where he could just Wrath for 3, hero power, innovate Ancient Allure next turn, and then save the Savage Combatant for maybe a turn 6 play of Savage Combatant hero power.
Yeah, maybe that's something he's considering here, you know, counting up all of his options, seeing how the next couple turns are going to play out. It looks like he's just going to go ahead and swipe.
Interesting. Accomplishes the same thing as the Wrath hero power, but lets him hold on to Wrath for more flexible clear options. I kind of like it.
Yeah, digging in his deck if he wants to later, you know, he can damage one of his own minions if there's nothing else in play as well.
The only minion you want to really swipe in this matchup is Frothing Berserker. Other than that, it doesn't really have too many good targets.
Yeah, like the only use for it I've seen in these matchups are the really complicated board states when there's like 6 or 7 minions. You could fill their board, then swipe, then Wrath, then like hero power plus like Savage War down their whole board, and it's really complicated. That situation doesn't come up very much, and you're losing if that situation comes up. So
yeah. Alright, he opts to go with the Acolyte of Pain over the Frothing Berserker. Wants to start getting some card draw in, as he does have 2 Warsong Commanders pretty dead in his hand there.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to pass up Innervate Ancient of Lore here, right?
Oh yeah, especially since you have the follow-up Savage Combatant hero power. You have just a bunch of strong lines here, and getting those cards out early is going to give you many options for all the future turns. So I like it a lot.
Picks up a Shade here and a Loatheb, 2 very good cards in this matchup.
Loatheb especially just shuts down the patron's ability to clear your board and can be used for setting up lots of lethals.
Yeah, Lothup's one of those cards, you know, when I first started playing this matchup, I didn't realize how good it was in the Patron matchup. And then as time went on, I realized, you know, it feels like it did in like the Rogue matchup or like the Freeze Mage matchup where, you know, if you play it at the right time, it's backbreaking.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because eventually Patron Warrior just has combo pieces in its hand and spells. And if you play Lothup, they can't do anything with their turn.
I mean, even if they've been discounted by, you know, Emperor Thorson, if they have to pay, you know, 5 or 6 mana for a Whirlwind, they're not going to be able to do 40-something points of damage to you.
The only time that they could do it under the Lothup effect is with the unstable ghouls.
Mm-hmm.
And even that's more expensive than just normal Whirlwind, so it still slows them down even if they have the perfect answer. But crimzig does not have a good way to deal with this Ancient lore. So he's going to opt to just develop a Dread Corsair. And,
kind of protect his Acolyte of Pain here a little bit, maybe make sure, you know, try to get some extra draws out of it. But if leadpaint wants to this turn, he's got some pretty good Savage Combatant attacks.
Oh yeah, that Savage Combatant value is sick. And he can even make sure that his Ancient Allure doesn't die to the weapon as he trades into the Acolyte of Pain.
Yeah, there's no trade-ups from Acolyte of Pain here. Only gets 1 card. Pretty good turn for leadpaint there. And he's got a pair of 5/4s on the board, one of which has a great ability in this matchup.
Both of those draws for Crim were amazing. Now he's able to like slam the 5/4, then axe it down, and then even execute the Ancient Allure if he wants to remove all the possible pressure. And he could even play the Frothing with doing that if he wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, you've already seen a swipe too. Maybe there's a chance that, you know, you should playing Frothing might be correct. You know, we see that there's a we see that there's a swipe and a Wrath in leadpaint's hand, but it's something to at least consider.
Yeah, definitely. So he's hesitating right now. I wonder what he's thinking about. Thinking about whether or not he wants to cycle the Battle Rage or not. Because he can squeeze in cycling the Battle Rage this turn.
Yeah, I mean, the mana's at such a premium with this deck sometimes. You know, it starts to get real tight in turn 7, 8, 9 if you're racing against Druid. You know, you need maybe all of your mana to you know, get these big, huge OTK turns off. And maybe just 1 more card from Battle Rage is good enough. But yeah, I like the idea of saving it here.
He saves it and he holds back on the Armor Smith, possibly using it in future turns to activate Battle Rage while he has a Whirlwind effect.
And maybe get himself out of combo range later in the game as well.
Yeah, sure. So what do we see coming out here? Probably just Druid of the Claw and Taunt, and then a Darnassus Aspirant.
It's actually a pretty scary board here. Oh, he's gonna
the charge.
Now,
I mean, he saw the 4 power or the 4 health minion did not get answered too efficiently before. It had to be slammed and then hit with the weapon. So he knows his opponent likely does not have Deathbite. So I like this aggression.
Now, this has got to be super scary if you're crimzig, right? After seeing that play from your Druid opponent, you know, does that just worry you that you might be dead next turn?
You always have to be afraid of that for sure. But I think also you can kind of assume like the last 4 health minions you couldn't kill, your opponent sees that weakness and is trying to exploit it. So it makes a lot of sense that this happens. But Lothup coming down next turn could really seal crimzig out of this game.
Yeah, leadpaint playing this aggressively, and he has cards to back this up too. Just keeping with his aggressive tendencies, but playing smartly with them too, and not just reckless aggressiveness.
That's for sure. Crimzig with no Deathbite draw, it's really unfortunate for him. Deathbite's such a core card at actually activating your Battle Rage, getting more draws off Acolyte of Pain, and clearing your opponent's minions. These mid-range minions with 4 health have just been so hard for him to deal with.
Yeah. Picks up another one of his favorite cards here, Druid of the Claw. Only knows how to make a 4/4 haster guy here, charger guy, seems like.
So the card reads 4/4 with charge.
Yeah, there's no second sentence, right? It's just been whited out.
There's no other option. We've actually in the top 4. The players that have made it to the top 4 have charged Druid of the Claws more than they've taunted Druid of the Claws.
Yeah, they've been right to do it pretty much every time as well, or every time. I mean, they've been amazing.
It's very interesting. Like even against aggro decks, it's been more correct more often to charge the Druid of the Claws than it has been to taunt the Druid of the Claws, which is very weird because in majority of Hearthstone, like if you watch like a tournament or whatever, you usually see people taunting them. But every game, it's been the correct line to charge them.
Yeah, it's usually like more than 3/4 of the time, Druid of the Claw has been taunted, and it's like correct. You know, I've seen it maybe over 75% of the time, but top 8, we've seen a lot of aggressive ones, and this is, you know, crimzig. Lead paint has sensed a lot of weakness from crimzig's hand, and correctly so.
Yeah.
You know, crimzig has had nothing going on in this game. I mean, this draw has been just abysmal versus what's going on lead paint's side of the board.
Yeah, and he's really been punishing him for not drawing that Despite. As soon as he sniffed out that there was no Despite there, he was able to really capitalize on it and push a lot of damage.
Yeah, love the play from lead paint here. Just, you know, paying so much attention to what's going on and what is missing and what's not going on crimzig's side of the board, and just really punishing him for it.
Mm-hmm. So as crimzig, what do you do here? Like, clearing, you're still really scared about dying. Maybe you can go for like a Hail Mary, try and set up your own lethal with like some sort of war song frothing.
I mean, is there anything he can actually do to stay in this game here? I mean, if he clears, he takes 4 here, he goes down to 12. There's 5 power in play with even more coming behind it. I don't know if there's anything he could do that actually keeps him in this game.
Yeah, like, I don't know if clearing's even right, because how do you stay alive? You just gotta hope the Druid doesn't have minions, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
But
what do you think? He needs to like go upstairs and try to find lethal somehow?
I don't know if that's even possible either. I don't know if he has enough damage. Like, even if he picks up the whirlwind effect, I don't think it's enough to spell lethal, so that's why he's going with the clear plan. That's why it took him so long on that turn. He was counting up the damage if he top decks whirlwind, right? And it's not enough.
You know, Warsong, Armorsmith plus Frothing Berserker with a, you know, a proc of a Death Spite can do some crazy stuff next turn. He can gain a lot of life, deal a lot of damage. So maybe he's not out of it here, but I mean, Lotheb is going to make it pretty difficult. And we're seeing this aggressive swipe here.
The swipe right to the dome.
Yeah, attack him with a Shade of Mech here. Let him know what's going on. Let him know where you're at.
Yeah, I definitely like the Shade attack because you're under the Lotheb effect. So it's harder for him to deal with the Shade and the Lotheb. Well, he can clear here, right? With the he can clear and stay alive. The Warsong Patron.
Well, the thing is, he's at 5.
Well, he can go down to 2. You can swing at the 3/3 and then use.
That's true. And use Frothing to take care of Lotheb.
Well, no, he does Warsong Patron and then swings at the 3/3.
Oh,
and
your
then bounces. Yeah, he bounces the Patron off the 2/3 and then runs 2 patrons into the 5/5. It's not pretty.
Yeah,
he's alive.
I'm still trying to figure out the Armorsmith Frothing Berserker turn.
Oh yeah, he doesn't gain quite enough armor to be able to do that one.
Yeah,
but he's staying alive at 2 life here.
Yeah, and both Druid of the Claws are gone.
And both swipes.
And both swipes. So, Keeper of the Grove is lethal here.
Keeper of the Grove.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, Dr. Boom is practically lethal.
That's
pretty rough. I mean,
a lot of things can happen without Armorsmith though. So, like Armorsmith and the Warsong could make things happen. Innervate is not bad because Ancient of Lore is going to draw him 2 cards here, so some cards are still lethal from here. That's true. Wrath is not one of them. Yeah, you can cycle a Wrath into a Savage Roar. Things can happen. He's going to opt to cycle the Wrath first, and then if he doesn't get what he needs, probably just kill the 1 card off. Yeah, 1 mana off of this here, and he's going to use Wrath to take care of this Warsong Commander because that is just way too scary to leave in play. That's for sure. Yeah, still a pretty good turn, even though he didn't kill crimzig there. You know, got deeper into his deck, found a card that is gonna, you know, have a little value in Keeper of the Grove here, and he still just gets a 5/5 onto a clear board when your opponent has been struggling to get anything going in this game. Yep, the 5/5 is gonna be able to push through the unstable bull thanks to the Keeper of the Grove and defeat crimzig next turn. Yeah, this is one of the things. It's like it's painful to watch as a caster because like the other guy is gonna he's gonna, you know, figure out all the best options for him this turn, stay alive with what's in his hand, and lead paint just like has the card to kill him. Yeah, you know? He just has the exact card he needs. Yeah. Oh man. Because like if this gets through, like let's say lead paint like bricked there and then bricks on his next draw, this is a setup that could get him back in this game possibly. Yeah, with the Battle Rage following up behind this, he has a chance. Yeah. But his opponent needs exactly Keeper of the Grove, and we see it sitting there, ready to go. And lead paint is going to take game number 3, making the score 2-1 for lead paint. The Mech Shaman aggro decks prevailing over the current, what I would consider standard lineup for tournament play.
Yeah, lead paint, as you said, up 2-1. He's Druid, and his Shaman is gone now, leaving him just Mage, which was a tempo Mage deck that he's got here. And crimzig, with only his 1 win, it was his Druid deck that got him his win here. So he's got Warrior and Warlock left. So what do you think he should be queuing up here against Mage first? I mean, he's got to get a win with both of them, but is there a reason to ever queue up, them in different orders here, or do you just, pick one and go with it?
I think he's going to pick whichever one he feels most confident with, and he has chosen Warlock, so he must feel most confident with the Warlock, so we're going to see how that ends up going for him. But yeah, you just pick whichever one you feel most confident with, because you want the confidence boost going into the last game. You want to be ahead on score, have the wind in your sails, so to speak.
The wind in your sails, I like it. Yeah, you want to have some confidence going in there, make some momentum, get a little comeback here for this win, but it'd be pretty poetic that one of the aggressive decks wins this for lead paint if he were to win this. He gets the final win with. I mean, he's been leading off with Shaman in almost every match, but getting the win off with this Mage deck, one of the unconventional choices that has led him here into this finals. I mean, how poetic is it going to be if he wins with this? Because this is what got him here. This unconventional lineup that's preying on what is considered the prototypical lineup that all the people have been using in 3-deck formats.
Yeah, I mean, what was the statistic? Like over 60% of the people that qualified for BlizzCon were rocking Patron Warrior, Demon Handlock, and Druid.
Well, it was it was like something like over 60 to 70% were using Warrior or Druid, and then the X was like whatever, and it was like a good percentage of X was Warlock. It was like Warlock. There's some people, moving a deck in or out of there, but Handlock seemed to be the deck that a lot of people were moving. But there was like a lot of Paladin as well. Okay. But I mean, just Warrior Druid was, the breakout. If you can call them breakout, because I mean, people have known how good they are for quite a while. Warrior probably considered the strongest class in competitive play, but Druid has just been showing how good and broken it is over like the last month.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's been unbelievable since TGT came out.
That is definitely true, and we're gonna see maybe lead paint's able to capitalize on the lineup victory here by just bringing aggressive decks to counter that.
Yeah, it's it's kind of refreshing to see an aggressive lineup do well.
Yeah, it's been so long.
Yeah, it's been so long and so stagnant, and I mean, it's like, man, I guess we're just gonna have to watch these guys slug it out for 14 turns a game. And I like seeing these games where someone comes out aggressive and the other guy's like on his back foot and desperately trying to regain control, and then they do. It's like cool monumental moment of like prevailed over the evil aggressive deck and reestablished board control. But he top decked a fireball to kill him or something. It makes for really exciting moments.
That is for sure.
Oh, big pickup here for lead paint as well, getting a good 3-drop.
Yeah, the curve is pretty sick here. Although it is going to reduce the cost of
Yeah,
crimzig's Mountain Giant.
Yeah, it's actually something we were talking about. I was talking about with Orange when he made this deck. He was talking about the fact that it makes Mountain Giant cheaper when he was playing against Handlock. I mean, otherwise he said he really liked the card because it doesn't matter that they generally get the spell first, because they get the first turn of getting it to be turn 3, and you get a 3/4 body.
Yeah, so crimzig's gonna tap here. So if Spellslinger comes down, that's gonna reduce the Mountain Giant's cost down to 3. So crimzig could play the Mountain Giant now. Oh my god, this could be disastrous.
The mythical turn 3, and that is Hunter traps on both sides.
Yeah.
You get a freezing trap on crimzig's side and an explosive trap for lead paint.
Wow, the turn 3 Mountain Giant. That is a fast giant.
Yeah.
Chooses to take it, and of course he chooses to take it. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a risk lead paint kind of took there, and
they said it couldn't be done.
They said it couldn't be.
We figured it out.
Wow.
Good shredder placement here from lead paint. Love it. Playing tight.
Yeah, he's got 2 burn spells in his hand, so he doesn't have the worst draw.
Yeah.
He could definitely still close out this game, even though that Mountain Giant coming out so early is so scary.
If the traps were backwards, like how sweet would freezing trap be in the situation against the Mountain Giant?
Yeah, that would be pretty devastating. Although, like, crimzig can kind of just, like, play the Watcher and taunt up and just
right.
build a little bit of a wall and sit tight.
It's, like, so awkward. I mean, Spellslinger leads to some just awesome interaction that you never see.
Yeah, it's definitely a really fun card. He's going to go face here. race his opponent down. He knows he has limited time against the Mage's potential burn. Well, I like it.
Yeah, and if you're lead paint, how do you get through this wall?
He's got the fireball on the giant after trading in the scientist, it looks like, and then probably just passively sit.
Yeah. I mean, Ancient Watcher can't attack you, so either one of your minions is directly challenged by what's on board.
So he's in a pretty good position. As far as threats go for crimzig, he's sort of ran out. He only drew one real threat. He has the Void Caller, but playing it now without a demon is kind of scary. Your opponent's going to be able to pick up on the fact that you don't have a demon based on the way you're forced to like trade or go face with it, and like sort of how you line up your attacks with the Void Caller. Oh, usually you could get found out if you try and YOLO it out there.
Yeah, and
there's a demon.
Yeah,
now I can imagine. Yeah. Definitely coining that bad boy out. But the counter spell.
Yeah. It's gonna put a wrench in his plans here this turn, but he could still do something like develop a freezing trap. He can even tempo Big Game Hunter if he really wants to here. But you got to worry about Dr. Boom on turn 7 from lead paint. So yeah, it looks like that counter spell kind of put a big wrench in his plans here.
Even though it just got the coin, still did a lot of work. It's gonna slow down crimzig a lot. He's just one threat behind now. Looks like we're gonna see trade in the shredder and ping possibly, but the freezing trap is gonna put an end to that quite quickly. So probably just replay the shredder.
Yeah, so we're seeing interesting things happen on. Oh, we got a thank you out of crimzig there.
Oh,
little cheeky. I like it.
Yeah. So piloted shredder for 4 coming down. Maybe he wants to ping this turn. He wants to play a 7-drop next turn, so he won't have the mana to ping. Okay, so he's sort of signaling that he wants to play a 7-drop next turn by playing the 4-mana piloted shredder instead of the 6-mana piloted shredder, or he wants to be using all of his mana anyways. So crimzig should be expecting probably Dr. Boom or something like this to be coming down.
Yeah, now what do you think he's gonna have to do on this turn now? I mean, like, do you have to start trying to get, Void Caller into play so you can get Drax's into play and taunt that up? Start dealing with these big drops that you're expecting to come out of lead paint?
Yeah, you just want to put as much on the board as possible, which at the moment for him, he doesn't have too many good options for doing that. He's got Void Caller, and that's about it. Like, there's no way he's like YOLOing a Doomguard or something ridiculous.
Right, that would be it's a little early for that kind of situation to come up, I think.
So just developing the board the best he can. We're gonna see the shredder trade in, and we could possibly see like an Archmage come down here because it's not directly contested too much.
This is one of the more interesting minions that comes out of shredder sometimes in game. Lowwalker Cho can make for some very interesting turns,
especially if this Archmage Antonitis were to come down.
Yeah, it looks like he's gonna.
Yeah, he's gonna go with the shredder. He's gonna take the safer play, but like Archmage Antonitis, how does your opponent deal with it without using a spell, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like you
generate value off of it.
Yeah, I mean, even if he like uses a spell to kill the Archmage, you get the spell yourself from Lowwalker Cho. So.
Yeah, but it is always a risk to play it in this matchup out like that because it is one of your win conditions to just grind out the game and win, especially with Ronin in your hand. Getting those missiles.
Yeah. That's actually one of my favorite plays in this deck is like you get Ronin into play, they kill it, and you just play Archmage and just fire off missiles.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, that was fun.
Draxus comes out of the Void Caller over Doomguard here. Not the one he wanted probably, but that is going to make a huge taunt wall.
Yeah, Undercity Valiant coming out here for lead paint, so he gets a 3-power minion, not a bad one out of the pilot shredder there. Something with some positive stats. So, but this is going to be a gigantic wall for lead paint.
Yeah, that's for sure. But lead paint's got the Archmage Antonitis. He's got the Ronin, so he doesn't really care about walls too much.
Yeah,
a lot of fireballs.
Yeah, I was gonna say this game's getting played on a different axis here very, very soon. I gotta believe this Ronin's hitting the board. Now, it's interesting. Does he have to play cutely with Ronin because of Lowwalker Cho?
Yeah, that Lowwalker Cho is going to be a huge liability because the life totals are not that far apart, and the crimzig's got a lot of pressure on the board. So if he starts giving his opponent arcane missiles or fireballs, he could be just setting up his own demise.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, crimzig's got a lot of damage here, like burst damage from his hand as well. You know, he has a Hellfire in his hand, a Doomguard, yeah. Plus he has another Defender Vargas. So, you know, you can start to buff up some minions here and get some real damage in.
Yeah, he's probably going to try and set up lethal for next turn the best he can, just like Argus and then go face, and he's got Hellfire Doomguard next turn.
Yeah, because, I mean, what does he care about, you know, Antonidas?
He's actually afraid at 17. At 17, he must have thought there was some way he could die.
Well, I mean, this can still set up. That is 4.
Holy
we have quads dealer, 4 of a kind. What do I win? Now, it still has a lot of ways to deal lethal here. You know, he has Hellfire into Doomguard next turn, so and still Defender Vargas. So there's a lot of ways he can finish this leadpaint off, and he's just playing safely there by playing the heal bot. I like it.
This Lore Walker chill.
Yeah, as I said,
just take a moment. This is so hilarious how much it just screws him here.
Is he about to just
hard by it?
Yeah. Is he about to just YOLO and just play a bunch of arcane missiles and frostbolts here this turn?
Oh, you have to, yeah.
He's not even waiting to see where they go. I think he's just gonna start queuing them all up. This is a lot of animation, by the way. This takes a lot of time.
This is hilarious. This is a great esports moment.
Yeah,
Lore Walker Joe is just too good.
As I said, one of the most interesting minions that comes out of Pilot Shredder always makes for some very awesome games.
Yeah. Could be a big mana worm.
Yeah, still can't get through a gigantic Lord Jaraxxus though. He's gonna run out of time here as well. He's gonna just queue all this stuff up.
Oh man.
Well, he's gonna make crimzig overdraw here as well, right?
Yeah.
Crimzig eventually stops getting cards.
These are the moments that make Hearthstone great.
Yeah. Now, if you're crimzig, since you can't attack here, do you just fire back with all of these missiles? And how many of them need to go face for you to kill him? So it's 4 mana for all the missiles. You go down to 5.
Hellfire first.
Oh, you get. All right, yes.
Meta is so you do 3 and then it's guaranteed lethal.
Well, yeah, because also you can kill Lore Walker Cho with one of the missiles as well.
Yeah. You can Hellfire, then Mortal Coil a minion, and then you have more than enough damage for lethal. Yeah. You don't even need to Mortal Coil a minion. Just Hellfire all the missiles is lethal. But that Lore Walker Cho, the game was looking so good for leadpaint right there. If the Lore Walker Cho wasn't in play, he could have turned all those missiles into fireballs. Could have just been at this board state without giving his opponent tons of missiles that could kill him. But he's running out of time here. He's got to queue up all these missiles. But I believe you don't have to wait for the animation of the missiles to finish, so as long as he just plays them all.
Yeah, as long as he just plays all of them, it's more than lethal here.
Yeah, it'll just queue up the actions. So he doesn't have to wait for the animations of the missiles to happen. He might actually have to wait for Lore Walker Cho. If Lore Walker Cho makes him miss lethal here, that'd be kind of funny.
Nah, the rope's still burning, so it means he's actually queued everything up. So yeah, it looks like we are going to a game 5. I think it's the only way they could have settled this finals after, you know, these long, grueling days, so many matches. No way we don't have a game 5, right?
Yeah, the tournament started on the 23rd. It's now the 27th.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be coming down to the Mage deck from leadpaint and Patron Warrior crimzig.
Wow. This is a matchup that could go either way still. Like, we've seen the Mage deck lose to Patron Warrior, and we've seen the Mage deck beat Patron Warrior before, so it's definitely anybody's game here. It's going to be determined by, is crimzig able to get that Fireworks? Is he able to get the early game control? And is leadpaint able to get that mana worm, get those frost bolts to possibly control the weapons and get that water elemental down in time to really just lock the weapons out of the game?
Yeah, I mean, that's actually, you know, something we saw from him earlier in the top 8. We saw an early mana worm followed by, you know, well-timed tempo-ish frost bolts to kind of freeze his opponent, not let him ever use weapons. And, you know, water elemental came out and just completely froze him for the entire game. You know, he was never able to use his weapons, and it just steamrolled a Patron player.
Yeah, so he's hoping to probably try and do that again. That seems to be like the intent of the Mage deck. But we're gonna see if crimzig's able to keep up with that pressure.
And here we go, boys. The last game for all the marbles. Crimzig versus leadpoint. I'm sorry, leadpaint. I keep saying leadpoint. Leadpaint.
Yeah.
I don't know why I keep saying leadpoint. I apologize, leadpoint, if you're watching. If you watch this later.
And you did it again while you were apologizing. All right. So we have a pretty weak hand from both players. You have to imagine they're mulliganing all of these cards.
Yeah,
So we're just gonna wait.
Crimzig's hand is
information. Crimzig's hand is what?
It's like exceptionally bad in this matchup, right? Like none of these
yeah.
cards are what you want to be doing on turns 1, 2, or 3. They're both just gonna, take the full time. And is there ever a chance Piloted Shredder gets kept, or do you just have, or like Water Elemental gets kept, or you just have to try to hard mulligan into Mana Worm?
I think there's a chance you could keep Water Elemental, but I prefer hard mulliganing. But Water Elemental's pretty good. He's gonna keep both of them. He's really just valuing the mid game presence more than the early game presence. So I guess that's pretty solid. Your opponent's mulliganing for early game presence, so why not just skip the early game and mulligan for mid game?
Yeah, I mean, keeping both of these kind of helps invalidate Fiery War Axe, because you could turn 3 this Water Elemental. If it sticks, like if there's no execute there, there's no other way for them to really take care of it. There's no real good answer besides execute. And then you just get to Pilot Shredder behind that. You don't have to worry about it getting taken care of by like a Fiery War Axe.
That is definitely true unless Crimzig's able to develop minions and he's able to get some sort of like Armor Smith down and an Acolyte of Pain down, and then he can like inner rage one of them and trade up and things like this. So that's kind of the risk.
Chance something like that happens. He does have the inner rage and an Armor Smith already.
Yeah. So it's pretty risky taking the 4-drops and just hoping your Patron opponent doesn't have the early game minions. Patron doesn't have too many early game minions. They only have Unstable Ghouls, Armor Smiths, Acolyte of Pains, and a Cruel Taskmaster. So sometimes you can get away with it, and he's going to try and take that approach here. This is an awkward turn 3, though. Or turn 2, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, what does he do here? Just like, hero power pass? I mean, it's like, because if he coins up Flame Waker, then he's like really giving up a lot of power for his next couple turns.
Kind of like the Frostbolt on the Armor Smith, just to shut down things like Inner Rage trade up potentially, if you coin out the Water Elemental next turn.
Yeah, I mean, if your plan is to coin out Water Elemental, I actually kind of like Frostbolting on Armor Smith now that you say it.
Yeah, but he pings the Armor Smith instead, so I gotta feel like that leans more towards the Shredder, which is the safer of the two options. Because if your Water Elemental gets executed, you're behind by a lot. Whereas if Shredder gets executed, you still get that 2-drop to keep you around a little bit.
Hopefully getting you a lot of value. I mean, he's been getting some pretty decent 2-drops and some pretty bad ones as well. We've seen Succubus come out and have a big effect. We've seen Low Walker Cho come out and have a gigantic effect as well.
That is for sure.
Got so much tension here in the last game.
Yeah. Each player playing extremely slow. This is it. This is what decides all the beans, man.
So I've always wondered, I want to ask you this question. When you start playing in games, do you find yourself playing slower in bigger matches, or do you just generally play at the same speed?
I generally play at around the same speed. I usually just try and take like a deep breath before every turn, think about all my options, and then when I find the best option, look again, and then after that, generally just take it.
All right, well, if an execute gets picked up here, it can take care of this Water Elemental, but it doesn't look like there's any real clean answers. I mean, he can use something like Inner Rage plus a weapon and just, take the 1 turn of freeze versus being frozen for the rest of the game. From
I
here,
think it might have to be the way you have to do it.
Yeah, like Inner Rage or Armor Smith, use Fiery War Axe, or just you just develop Deathbite for, 2 turns down the line.
Yeah, I like developing Deathbite, just getting the bigger weapon out. It's the mid game now, so you really need that bigger weapon. It also gives you the possibility to make patrons at some point in the game, and sometimes in these matchups, just making a few patrons is enough.
Yeah, you have an Acolyte of Pain and an Omission Inventor in your hand too, so you're going to get some more cycling. It helps it feel a battle rage.
That's for sure. But this Shredder is terrifying, man. It's going to be chipping away at your health really fast.
Thorson picked up for Crimzig here.
That's an early Emperor for sure. If you're able to get the Warsong Patron combo Emperor in this matchup, that can be GG if your opponent doesn't have a Flame Strike. And we see Leadpaint with the Flame Strike in his hand, though. So he's going to be able to react to early Patron combos.
Yeah, it's a card that sometimes is like a one-of in these Tempo Mage decks. It's not a card that's generally expected Tempo Mage. You sometimes catch your opponent off guard. when you have it, and then it's good against Patron. You know, it does clean up those turns. Now, do you just Flame Waker Frostbolt the face here, or if you do that, do you run your do you run the Pilot Shredder into Gnomish Inventor first?
Yeah, you run the Pilot Shredder into Gnomish Inventor, Flame Waker Frostbolt face. You're just trying to build up your board, lock your opponent out from using his weapon to clear or get too much value off of it.
Yeah, I think if you just like stifle the early development from Zig as much as possible, and while developing a board of your own, that's where you want to be in this matchup, right?
Yeah, that's exactly where you want to be. It's not all about damage. It's about just getting that unbeatable board state, installing the weapons so that he's not able to just weapon your minions one at a time as you play them. You get them all out at once, and you can't just AoE weapon things. So you're able to push a lot of damage.
He's going to take this line that deals a lot more damage, and the Flame Waker just straight up smorks here.
Yeah, I guess that's the direction he wanted the Flame Waker to go for sure.
I mean, you see, he just knows how Flame Waker works. Every time I play with this card, and you set up those cute boards where things have damage on them, and you're going to Flame Waker everything down, it always just goes face. Lead Paint, he knows that. He knows these Flame Wakers are going upstairs, so he's just playing with that in mind.
Solid read of his own Flame Waker. He knows his cards.
Oh yeah, he knows.
Now, from crimzig's point of view, does he have to Emperor here? Is that just like the only play for him, or is there some other line he can take?
There's a couple things that happen if you play Emperor here. Not only does it discount your hand and start, alleviating some of the pressure, hopefully, over the next turn for yourself, it's a huge threat that needs to be answered. Like, Lead Paint can't let this sit around, right? It has pseudo taunt. Like, they have to run something into this, right?
Yeah. Generally speaking, you have to run something into it.
Yeah, I mean, it's so scary to leave one around for multiple turns, right? We've seen some people do it in the top 8 here, and Lead Paint's an aggressive player. He might be the kind of guy that would leave it alone, ignore it, and try to push here, but can you afford something like that?
The arcane missiles with 2 Flame Wakers is a lot of flame power.
Whew.
Getting hot in here.
Yeah, I mean, you could even I was supposed to say using Sorcerer's Apprentice with Flame Waker.
Yeah, well, actually, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Flame Waker, and
it doesn't give him the extra. Yeah, it doesn't give him extra mana though, right?
No, not extra mana. He just hangs 1 mana, but it's not too bad. He could also hold back the second Flame Waker with Arcane Intellect Counterspell.
Yeah, that actually might be a better turn here.
And he hasn't traded into anything yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take Emperor Thaurissan off this table, I was about to say I would like seeing Shredder again attacking in here so you don't overkill it. Oh, unfortunate for him. It's an Ancient Watcher here. We've seen some interesting Shredder pops here.
Definitely lots of shit.
Now this Arcane Missiles might be able to clear the board here for him. Oh, it just keeps smorking.
Wow. It's super unlikely that it doesn't end up clearing the board there. Like, the odds were heavily in his favor, but that's kind of one of the unfortunate things Tempo Mage has to deal with a lot.
Now this Counterspell, see that it's the only thing it can really stop right now is a Battle Rage. Other than that, Crimzig hand, he's got a bunch of weapons and minions, but he did pick up a Patron this turn to go along with this Warsong Commander that's in his hand.
Yeah, but if he extends into Patrons now, Flame Strike will be there to answer it, and then he's left with no board to Battle Rage off of, and he's got to figure out a way to get through this counter spell before he can draw cards with Battle Rage.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he might just Lead Paint may be able to run Crimzig out of steam here.
And this looks like this is about to be what happens here.
The Patron seems so good. You're just thinking, as long as my opponent doesn't have Flame Strike, this is awesome.
And I mean, they generally only run 1, so is this, an incorrect play in this spot?
They generally run 1 or none. They don't really
exactly.
run anymore.
Yeah.
I just think it's a pretty solid play to set up for your Battle Rage next turn and what have you. But he is going to get blown out by the Flame Strike here, and that's going to put Lead Paint very far ahead. He takes out one of the 2 Warsong Commanders that Crimzig needs to actually deal damage in the matchup, and one of the 2 Patrons. So Crimzig's outs for actually finishing the game have gone down severely. So he has to draw a lot more cards, and this counterspell's up. It's going to try and prevent him from drawing cards. Yeah,
this counterspell is actually going to be pretty good here against this Battle Rage because, as you said, he needs to draw cards to be in this game.
What now?
Now he could Deathbite and set up, Acolyte of Pain, like Frothing Berserker, Battle Rage next turn, but again, this counterspell is going to throw a wrench in that plan.
Yeah, he's going to set up the Despite next turn to try and get 2 cards off the Acolyte of Pain and set up his Battle Rage, but the counterspell is going to deny the Battle Rage. I do like the Tempo Frothing, though. He needs to get something on the table to contest what the Mage is doing.
Yeah, now if you're a lead paint, what do you do this turn?
I guess you just play the Drake and try and fish for maybe a Frostbolt to clear, develop. Tempting to even just play the Flame Waker here. He's going to opt for the Unstable Portal.
Zellic. Yeah.
Possible card draw.
Yeah, I mean, he might have Dr. Boom left in his deck as a big minion, but Antonidas and Ronan are already in his hand, 2 of his big payoffs for this Youst that he's got going on here.
Yeah, at the same time, just getting a 3/2 on the board to try and help compete with the Frothing Berserker is pretty good. Because after the Despite swings into your Drake, you at least have something on the board that could kill the Frothing Berserker if you don't top deck a way to answer it.
We got a tie on the Joust here, so there's going to be no card draw for lead paint here.
crimzig has the ability to full clear and start pushing face hard with this big Frothing Berserker. He has to use Battle Rage to break the counterspell, and then he can execute the Ezra Drake.
Yeah, do you think he has any idea that it's counterspell at this point?
Oh yeah, he has to be 100% positive that it's counterspell.
Yeah, the way this game's played out for sure.
No, he's not going to be taking the execute line, it looks like. He's going to use execute to break the counterspell and value the draw more than the full board clear.
Yeah, maybe he thinks he just needs to actually get deeper in his deck to win the game, and it's better than just clearing a 3-1 here.
Yeah. He is valuing the draw a lot more than the clear.
Plus, there's a couple other cards he could pick up to deal with the 3-1 here. You know, he might be able to draw something. He gets 3 cards, so if he draws like Whirlwind, even Slam is fine. And
Unstable Ghoul.
Yeah.
He's got another Battle Rage.
Wow, this turn was huge.
Yeah, this is the comeback turn for crimzig in this match. It was looking so good for lead point for a minute there, but
yeah, it looks like this is going to be the last turn for lead paint here if he can't deal with what's going on, and I don't know if he's got what it takes to get through all this. It looks like we might have just had a champion.
Yeah, it looks like crimzig is going to take it on the back of a Tempo Frothing after getting Patron's Flame Striked. There's no way for lead paint to stop him, I don't think.
A couple unfortunate things here in the finals for lead paint. A couple unfortunate shredder drops, really hurting his chances in a few games.
So looks like we're seeing the standard lineup triumph over the crazy lineup.
It gives him the hello after shooting us in the greetings. I love it. You know, playing back and forth. This has been a long match. Even gives him the thank you. I like that. You know, showing some graciousness there. Good showing from lead paint here into the finals, but we have a champion, and it's crimzig.
Yeah, there can only be one winner. Congrats to crimzig winning the final game. He's going to be taking home $350 for his win here and his showing. He's played so well. He's had a lot of really cool plays. We've talked about some of the ways he's played matchups a lot differently. Definitely played really solid. I've been really impressed with his play. Thought he played really good throughout the whole tournament, and definitely worthy of being the champion here.
Yeah, you know, the standard lineup wins again, as you said. It's just showing why it's just so powerful. There's a reason why he's here in the finals and winning this tournament. It seems to be one of the best lineups that you can get. And let's talk a second about the guy who lost here in the finals, second place finisher, lead paint. Great showing from him, and great lineup as well. As you said, it seemed to target these lineups that have become so popular, you know, the Warrior, Druid, Warlock lineup so well. And he came very close to winning this entire tournament multiple times.
Yeah, he got 2-2. Final game 5 in the finals, and he's playing a lineup with Mech Shaman, a Tempo Mage deck, and a Druid deck. Not a conventional lineup. He's like one of the only people in a 1,024-man tournament running this lineup, and he's able to get second place. So kudos to that. He's got different techs in it. It's not just the standard net deck Mech Shaman. It's not just the standard net deck Tempo Mage. So very different lineups, and he's able to get second place with it, and he's targeting the Warrior, Warlock, Druid that's been so popular. been very impressive. Very impressed with his play as well. But in the end, only one champion, and crimzig takes it with the standard decks.
And so we may have crowned a champion here, but this isn't over just yet, right? Like you have a couple things going on just after this.
Yeah, after the tournament, I'm going to be firing up my stream to do the raffle. Anyone that played in the tournament, so all 1,024 players, if they had won any games during the Swiss phase at all, even just one match or one game of a match. So they say they went 0-10 during the Swiss rounds. If they won any other series, then they are automatically entered in a raffle to win some of the sweet raffle prizes that include 9 times $20 G2A gift cards, I think it was, and then one grand winner gets 60 Hearthstone packs.
They're $30 gift cards, a little extra value.
$30, even more.
Yeah.
There you go. So I'm going to be doing the drawings for that on my stream after this, and make sure you tune in to see if you win. And also I will be tweeting it out on Twitter to all the winners, and if you do win, you can just direct message me on Twitter with proof that you are who you are. So just a screenshot of your BattleNet logged in will be fine, and then I can get you your prize as soon as possible.
And that's going to do it here for us today. Thanks, Firebat, for putting on an amazing event. Congratulations to our champion. crimzig here showed just amazing play throughout the top 8, you know, navigating through a lot of hard matchups, a lot of hard games, come out victorious. Thanks to Just Saying for giving me a little bit of a break there. I was dying, as I think you are as well. It was a long day, but great Hearthstone. Wouldn't have it any other way. Really enjoyed my time here today, and really looking forward to doing this again real soon.
Yeah, I can't wait. Hopefully we can get sponsored so it's not me paying for everything. So anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. I really appreciate the support, the viewership. I appreciate everyone that played in the tournament, and hopefully I could put on more open tournaments and try and just build the open tournament community scene. I really want to make it a common thing. I want to make it a occurrence. I want to make tournaments in Hearthstone very popular and a pressing concern to Blizzard, get some in-client stuff. I want to do everything I can to make tournament playing for open people and just your average Joe person possible.
Yep.